Hi guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be tackling the Empress card. The Empress card is also a beautiful card in the deck. It's very, yeah, it's one of those that's a little, we'll get into it. So let me bring up the cards that I have to show you today. So of course we're going to be working with the Rider-Waite, we're going to be working with the Crowley, the two classics, and of course my trusty Wizard of Oz, but I'm also bringing you explanations from the Voodoo Tarot, which kind of like expand the Empress card meaning. But let's dive into it, shall we? So first off, let's see how it compares to, there is a connection between the Empress and the High Priestess, right? So we were talking about the High Priestess being that fundamental essence of yourself, basically, like the blueprint, basically, like that foundational beingness that is, right, that you sometimes need to fall back into in order to cleanse, clear, restructure, and then move out from that again, from that space. So the next step from the Empress, from the High Priestess, and you can see it very clearly depicted here. How? I'm gonna leave this up here for a second, guys. Have a look. How can we see that these two are connected? That's right. Look at her dress and look at the veil. Can you see that? Yes. So the veil has pomegranates on it and her dress has pomegranates on it as well. Pomegranates are pretty, they're such a deep symbol. They connect with the cult of Cybele. They connect with Demeter and Persephone cults, the Eleusinian mysteries. And they tie in with this cycle of life, death, rebirth, life, death, rebirth. So bringing it up on these two cards, it's showing how this is almost a reviving, a revivifying constantly of the expression of life. Okay, and the source of that is not easily seen, is not easily, it keeps itself hidden. So the Empress represents love and wisdom in life, but we'll get to that how. So we see here on the Rider-Waite the symbol. So she's got the 12 stars on her head, and the 12 stars of course represent the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 months in a year. The sorry guys, I just had a siren go by and it was just too much. So anyways, the 12 months of the year, 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 hours on a clock, right? So we have these cycles of 12 that we go by. So that's what the star represents. And the shape of the stars, it is said the stars, Paul Foster Case, who wrote a book on the Rider-Waite, the stars are six-pointed or hexagrams to show that she has dominion over the laws of the macrocosm or the great world. Next, we see, of course, that she's wearing this white robe with the pomegranates. And to me now, right, this is the I don't even know how to describe this. This is the emanation of that life force energy taking form. Okay, this is the first card where it's a gateway, a portal for this energy to actually take form. The previous cards are unformed. So the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, these haven't taken form yet. They haven't moved into the world yet. And remember that form isn't just something that's tangible, okay, that I can touch, feel, you know, hold on to. It's not just that. It's also concepts, mental ideas. That is also form, taking form. Before that, everything is just an is an energy, a force, something that is almost indescribable, right? But once it moves through the stage of the Empress, it takes shape. And the Empress is that which gives shape to the unformed, right? So we have here, all of a sudden she's wearing the veil, right? And wearing the symbols of life, death, this cycle. So she obviously has control over that. She's holding a scepter in her hand, which signifies rulership or dominion over, right? So she has dominion over whatever is being expressed on this card. but it's a different energy than the Emperor, which is an organizing principle, right? So then she's sitting on cushions, red cushions, and red is the color of passion, sensuality, love, right? And so the Empress is often connected with female sexuality, but it can also be connected with, surprisingly enough, war and aggression, blood and warning. But this is more unusual. That flows more into the Emperor card, but the Empress card can signify a flowering of these energies. The field of wheat implies abundance and fruitfulness. So here we see this field of wheat. I hope this camera is focusing. This field of wheat at the bottom here. Okay. And then we have the heart-shaped shield with the Venus symbol. So it said that this is a shield, and hearts symbolize love and romance, and shields symbolize protection, right? So this heart-shaped shield, it's kind of like her protection is love itself, right? So she is protected by love. So it's laid by the side, and it's a very small shield. It's not really, I find it's more of an emblem shield than a protective shield. So it's yeah. So then what else? Definitely denoting feminine energy as well. This this Empress shield here is a Venus shield. And let's see. So we have this, oh, and the waterfall at the back. So the waterfall is indicating, some of you might be able to see it. There we go. See this waterfall at the back here? So this is showing the flow of emotions, right? And waterfalls are usually pretty turbulent. So this is showing how that her, in the deeper subconscious, there is still that flow of energy, that flow of emotion, that flow of feelings, right? That are, if they run out of control, they can flood the land, they can cause some damage. So she's in control here of everything that is happening, and she's holding it in balance and harmony. At the same time, she's allowing everything to just be, just fruitfully be. So she's just letting it out there. So it's brought in connection with femininity in the lines of, for example, how women have children, right? So a woman is impregnated, the seed is given, right? The magician would be the seed representative. Then there's the gestation period, high priestess, right, where it grows outside of the known, the seen, the observable, usually, but not anymore nowadays. And then it goes through the birthing, which would be representative of the high priestess, right? Of the Empress, I'm sorry. So the Empress is representative of this birth, this life-giving woman, this goddess-giving woman. And a woman cannot control in that sense, right? And we have to think when these cards were created, when these concepts were created. And we weren't thinking about genetic manipulation back then, right? So back then, a woman could not control what came out of her, right? So who came out of her, male or female, what type of personality, what they would look like this being, this new human that came out of her, developed itself outside of her control, beyond the initial act. Right? So this actual, that's what this Empress is representing. So manifestation is something that we cannot control. The Empress also represents manifesting forces, right? So the Emperor represents creative forces. That's why I'm doing both together today. But the manifesting force, you're not controlling what comes out or what happens, right? Obviously, you're controlling it to an extent, as in, I am going to manifest a red couch, or I'm going to manifest a child, or I'm going to manifest this. But each time we use the word manifest, we have to be aware that we're giving over control to the forces of the universe that will then place whatever fits into that slot at that time energetically, right? So it's not something that is within our immediate conscious control. However, when we're moving into the Emperor realm, in contrast, the Emperor is creative, right? So it will, this is why the consciousness has to be also aggressive, right? And warlike, because The Empress just allows everything to be. The Emperor will say, no, this is not right. And he starts dividing, cutting, delineating, discerning, naming, right? Giving names is another way, very biblical. But the Empress is just whatever. This is just life, you know, everything goes. And the Emperor is like, no, we're going to put this over here, that over there, and starts the process of creation, right? So the Emperor is a very creative force. The Empress is a manifesting force. The Empress is feminine energy. The Emperor is male energy. And they're two very distinctly different ways about going about bringing into the world, right? So the Empress comes first before the Emperor because she brings the materials into the world that the Emperor then uses to create. Now we're diving into waters. Yeah. So I wish I had some. I will dig up some old time cards for the Lovers, because it moves further into the Lovers, where it shows that the male, just like in, oh my gosh, I'll get to that in the Lovers. I will not start that here. I refuse. So, but in any case, the Empress brings through those elements, the energies, everything that is needed to create form in the world, right? So she is love and wisdom, right? All loving, all giving, all allowing, all nurturing. Like, it is also written that she is the anima in the male, so this idealized form of femininity in the deep psychology of the masculine, of males. And or in a female, right? She is the would represent the mothering energies, or the less the two aspiring to feminine energies, more the mothering energies that she has to contend with and deal with. So the Empress is a manifesting principle, right? And a very powerful female principle. Now let's move on to the Crowley version. The Crowley version is also interesting, as the Crowley version brings up here. Let me see here. So it says in this book of Crowley symbols that she is the Earth Mother. She represents the archetype of Venus, goddess of love, beauty, and creativity. In Carl Jung's psychology, it represents the anima, or the feminine nature. And let me go to the symbols here. 1 second. It's love and wisdom, we know. So she's holding the blue lotus of wisdom in her hand. And it's in front of her heart to remind us that we have to encounter life with wisdom melted in love, right? Or wisdom and love melted together. And she stands for a trusting, balanced heart, and not for a controlled, protected heart. She is, in her right hand, she's holding a lotus with 4 tips. The 4 tips represent her mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual abilities to encounter life. And her arm, her left arm, is curved to indicate that whatever is given to her, she's willing to take on in a loving and smart, intelligent way. So she represents the healing power of love that's nurturing and supportive. She reminds us that love in wisdom is the ability to take care of ourselves and also others. The large these large bubbles here represent the union of intellect and heart. The birds are messengers of spirit. The burgundy color of her upper dress is the depth of her feelings and emotional ability. And then he starts talking about all the birds. I'm not going to get into that. But of course, each image has an aspect of this Empress, of this concept of what the Empress is, of love in wisdom, right? Love and wisdom connected. So let's see. Let's see. It's saying here that as an development symbol, the Empress represents a time. Usually it's representing a 9-year cycle, 9-month to 9-year cycle, and it represents a time where we're looking at our own patterns and abilities of giving too much, nurturing too much, wanting to do too much. Then there's also looking at our disappointments and our issues around our mothers, how we were mothered, how we were taken care of. Then there's also looking at our productivity, like how do we do in work, like what do we create, what do we give back to the world, and how do we create more beauty, harmony, and acceptance in our lives. So this is called the creative Venus cycle, and everybody goes through it. In numerology, it's a 9-year cycle. And yeah, so the Empress is of course connected as well to the 3s in the minor arcana, right? So the Magician was connected to the aces, the High Priestess is connected to the 2s, and the Empress is connected to the 3s in the minor arcana. So how? Well, she has her gifts, right, that she uses with the 3s, but she has one that is a little bit of a balancing force. So she's got the 3 of Pentacles, which represent work and setting priorities. Then she has the 3 of Cups, which represent the fullness of her feelings and emotions. Then she's got the 3 of Wands, which represent her integrity and her high values, her high missions, her high goals. Then she's got another step or evolution in the Hanged Man. And this represents breaking through limiting patterns, limiting structure. So remember, she's a portal, a gateway of energy, and this then in the Hanged Man breaks through limiting patterns and restrictions, the flow of spirit, right? The flow of mind is represented here. So the universe is then the ultimate manifestation of love and wisdom in the world. Then her one challenge in love is the 3 of Swords, which is grief. So it's that's the one thing that blocks your heart chakra as well, is grief, is deep unreleased grief, loss, sense of loss, feelings of loss. So affirmations that you can use in connection with this card is: I give and receive in wisdom. I enjoy leadership positions where I can give ideas and feelings that will help others, that will be an ideal for others. I love and respect the healing power of beauty, harmony, and love. I recognize that the ability to receive is just as big as the ability to give, is just as powerful. I recognize that the ability to receive is just as powerful as the ability to give. So these are all affirmations that you can work with in working with the Empress card, right? Okay, now I'll give you a different aspect of the Empress, and that is coming in through the New Orleans Voodoo Tarot by Louis Martini and Sally Ann Glassman. And here they are showing the goddess, or the Loa, the Empress Aizan. Aizan, it says, is a most ancient Loa. She's a patron of the ritual purity of the voodoo place of worship. Her emblem is the frayed palm branch, which is a symbol of purity, and by purity we mean here qualities such as clearness of mission, focus on devotion, not a simple holding back from experience. Interesting. The frayed palm may be understood as a mask or filter through which the new initiate perceives the world. Each new initiation implies a new vision of the world, a new filter or mask. It is said that there are 3 births: the birth into the visible world, the birth provided by initiation, and the birth that comes when one joins the ranks of the ancestors, and Aizan represents that birth by initiation. So she's being shown here in the marketplace. And why are they depicting her in the marketplace? And they're showing again the cycle of life and death, life and rebirth, and how she has mastery and rulership over it. And they're giving her here, they're showing her in the marketplace, and I thought this was really interesting and important. The market is a traditional place of power for women. The stock, commodity, money, or fruit markets are but extensions of the life-giving function of a woman's breasts. Until very recently, the newborn baby without a woman to feed it was apt to die. If the market in its various forms were kept and controlled by women, perhaps in its function, that of meeting the real needs of the entire populace, female and male, would be fulfilled. It may be a serious aberration that these markets are controlled by men who use them for personal acquisition and accumulation rather than for life-sustaining functions. Aizan's attributes are preservation of the purity of initiation and the bounty of success, pleasure, happiness provided by the true sight of initiation. So I thought that was really interesting, this aspect to look at. And when I say when they say male, female, and how the market is in the hands of the male, I don't take it men biologically. Remember, we're talking about energies, right? So it doesn't matter if female or male or who's working at the stock market. It's the energy, the mentality, the energy of the masculine force, which is more about acquisition and acquiring, right? Which is okay, it's the hunter, right? But the feminine, if they were in charge of the marketplace, what would that look like? Because the feminine force, the feminine energy is about nurturing and feeding and supporting and allowing to live, right? So there's another interesting aspect that you can take with you. And let's see. Then on the final card that I'm showing you here, this is the Wizard of Odd Tarot, for those of you just joining me in this one. And usually he has a rune on the side, but this time he doesn't. There isn't a rune for this card. So it is, but he has given it the Hebrew door. The Hebrew door. The Hebrew door. 1 second. So the Hebrew letter Dalet, which represents door. Sorry, I just had somebody drive by again. Anyways, so we see here that doorway to what, right? So it is knowledge that flows through in the Gnostic teachings. It's knowledge that flows through this doorway, which creates, right? Knowledge creates. If I have the knowing and the knowledge and the information and the wisdom and so on and so forth, then I can work with that and create something of it, be it a thought construct, which eventually leads into manifestation, or what have you. So there you have it, the Empress, the doorway to all that is, also the number 3, the first, the manifesting principle, the feminine principle, and we can see this feminine face. I love these cards. He didn't do this on purpose. This is smoke. This is smoke, which he just took a picture of, and then he mirrored it. That's it. And while he was working on these cards, he was, of course, connecting with the energy, the spirit of it, and they just showed up in smoke. Yes. So, yeah. So there you have it, the Empress, the doorway, feminine energy. Take care.